What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday morning. We are back. This is the Going Broadway podcast. Alex and Cole with you this morning. Cole, what's going on?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. And you'll have to bear with me today because the sinuses have kicked in officially for the spring.
The allergies are real.
It's if you're in the Midwest, you know that it's been like 70, 80 degrees, then like 50 degrees. Possible chance of like sunburn one day and maybe snowing the next.
Might be 6 inches on the ground, but
so my nose cannot decide if it wants to breathe or not right now.
So if you hear Cole pulling the do you guys watch the old Hey Arnold show where I forgot what his name was, big
Good old football head.
Well, that wasn't Arnold. It was I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Is it Stinky? Doesn't matter.
It's been a long time.
Doesn't matter.
I feel more like Carl from Jimmy Neutron, though.
This is the kind of stuff we lead in with whenever we don't have a show for 2 weeks. But, again, good morning, everybody. Let's see what we got on the chat this morning. Bruce, we have the sports entertainer. We all know who that is. Thomas Russell, David Tilley, Billy Ray Milburn. Just a blanket good morning to one and all. Oh, let's try that one again. All right, so unfortunately, this is going to be a shorter-ish show today because we were expecting having Camille on as a guest. Unfortunately, with her engagement, she informed me that it's just kind of a busy time. Kinda. I mean, there's a lot that goes into planning a wedding, and I don't know what her wedding date is, but I assume it's probably coming up soon. And usually, from experience, there's a lot of last-minute stuff that just all of a sudden seems to come up, and it's like you're scrambling to get everything done. So no worries. We plan to get her back on in June. We do have her penciled in for June 30th at this point. So hopefully we can get her then. And real quick, unfortunately, we won't be having Athena on next week either. Her rep, agent, whatever, emailed me yesterday, said that she now has a date conflict. So we're hopeful to get her back scheduled soon as well. So, oh, yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to address. Our new countdown. So we'll get that fixed by next week. It'll actually count backwards starting next week. But we do plan to add and take away from the graphics side of it so you guys can stay informed of what's coming up in the next month or two as far as guests, any events that we're going to be at, events that we're associated with, any kind of promotions that we're doing. So that'll be a good way to stay informed if you would join us during the countdown. You can check it out then.
I forgot to get my wrestling shirt out.
Uh-oh. He's got a Team Ambition shirt on.
Someone was like, I want to order the shirt Cole's wearing. I'm like,
You can't tell what he's wearing. He's wearing all black.
If you want my Columbia jacket, I got it at Ross.
So, yeah. Cole's rocking Team Ambition. I've got my FTR shirt on. So, what do we want to lead in with first? I'll let you decide because we talked about a variety of different things. So we'll just kind of fly off the cuff.
Well, we have two companies that decided to do some, as you will, releases or not resigning, I guess is what you would call it. But people departing from companies, let's put it that way.
David Tilley's going to love this conversation.
So, do we want to go NXT first or do we want to go AEW first?
You can decide. I've got thoughts on either and both.
Let's go AEW first because they don't have as many. There was like 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say there's 3 off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's...
I think there was 4 or 5 total.
Well, let's see. We got Marco. We got Joey Janela. We've got one half of TH2.
Jack Evans. That's the half of...
Those are the only 3 that are coming to
Grayson.
mind. Oh, yeah, the big one.
And I thought there was one more, but now I can't remember who it was. But
I mean, it hasn't been recent, but Big Swole.
Right. So let's dive into those. Let's go one by one. So the first one you said was Joey Janela. Thoughts on Joey?
I mean, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna do stuff with GCW. I mean, that's his pretty much his company. I mean, he doesn't own it, but I mean that's his home basically. Right. So he's going to be fine. He's got a fan base there. I think his comment about there's some 40-year-old overweight guys or whatever it was that sad that that aren't sad that I'm leaving AEW. And look, I've been very vocal that I've not been a fan of Joey Janela. I mean, no disrespect to him. You're either a fan of somebody or you're not. And I'm just not. Again, it's no disrespect intended, but I think it's really ironic that he's commenting about somebody's weight when he's pretty much got a beer gut, wrestling with a beer gut on national TV. And it's like, what makes you think that you've got the right to even drop a comment like that when, I'm sure he hits the gym, but at the same time, kind of gotta, if you're gonna be on TV, you gotta do some work yourself. So, and then as far as an in-ring standpoint, either, I mean, didn't jive with me. It just pretty much name value, and that's it.
I don't think I ever was on board with Joey from the day AEW started and had him on the roster. So this one doesn't shock me. I was kind of like, okay, I'm good with it. Like,
well, and just kind of a piggyback kind of thing. I'm not going to get into the socio-political side of things, but I'm kind of surprised. I'm surprised, but I'm not, as far as the keeping Sonny Kiss around. It's obvious why, as far as the inclusion factor, but you can group Sonny in with Joey Janela. It's like, how is Sonny benefiting AEW? He doesn't.
Right.
Sorry. She, whatever Sonny is labeling at this point as. I just think that if that's the only reason you're keeping Sonny around, then I don't see the point. I don't see the point.
Right. So let's look at who else do we have here? Marco Stunt.
Oh yeah.
Let's touch on Marco for a second.
I will say this. I think he fits better in Jurassic Express than Christian does. It's like they just threw Christian in because they could. Booking-wise, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it does because they want them to be elevated. But it's almost like, oddly enough, Jurassic Express lost a lot of their momentum when they went from 3 to 2 and then didn't really gain anything by adding Christian.
I would say Marco was more of a mascot. I'm not going to say that he didn't, do spots and things like that, but he was kind of their mascot in a sense. And, if you go and look at the shirts that sold a lot for Jurassic Express, they were the kind of the silly, goofy ones that involved Marco. So from that standpoint, I agree. It's kind of like, for me with the New Day, except for probably the past couple of years, Xavier Woods to me just never really seemed to fit the other two. The other two seem to be far superior in the ring, more likely to win a world title, which obviously out of the three of those two have.
Right.
There was never really this extreme push on Xavier Woods, and I always kind of felt like he was more of the manager, more of the mascot, more of the entertainment part of it, and whatnot. I feel like that's kind of how I felt with Marco.
Right.
Is that I would never be able to believe you as really a third wrestler in this group. The other two are far superior than him as far as in-ring ability. The only thing I'd say about the Christian thing is this an attempt at long-term storytelling or story building? Is eventually, because here's the thing, they're going to want Jungle Boy to go off on his own at some point.
You would think.
And probably eventually drop the Jungle Boy character even. If I had to guess. Is Christian, especially at the age that he's at, his ability to work the mic. The other, let's be real, neither one of them are good on the mic. Jurassic Express, they're not very solid on the mic. It's
Jungle Boy has gotten better.
Yes, it's still cringe at times. For instance, last night, when he talked last night, I was like, let Christian talk.
Well, and I agree with you. Like, a lot of people on social media they weren't raving about it, but commented that just, Jungle Boy on the mic, we need to see more of that. And I'm like, no, he needs some practice. From he needs the experience, sure, to be on TV, to do interviews on TV. I get that side of it, but you need he needs promo classes is what he needs.
Right.
And we're not trying to sound overly critical this morning, but it's like, I feel like in general, we keep saying that AEW keeps trending downward. I mean, besides the Dante Phoenix match, what was there last night?
Well, and we'll touch on some of that here in a little bit because I actually have some opinions about last night that are about another company that was involved last night and some thoughts there. But is Christian involved because eventually they're either going to turn Luchasaurus heel to elevate Jungle Boy, and will Christian be Luchasaurus's mouthpiece and kind of treat him as like the monster that's not tamed kind of thing? Or will Christian turn Jungle Boy heel on Luchasaurus and be his mouthpiece and kind of elevate Jungle Boy?
True. So I almost think it would be better for Jungle Boy's career if you ditch the whole Jungle Boy shtick, become Jack Perry, but like have him be like he does need to bulk up, hit the gym a little bit, but he could actually be an Adam Cole-esque type character if he does some work on promos, bulks up a little bit, but he could be this champion that, like, you know, comes out in a suit and looks the part. So
right, for sure. I think especially if you give him like a, you know, I liked what they did with Bobby Lashley with MVP. I thought that really elevated him to do the suit thing, have MVP, this classic thing to him. Christian Cage, I don't know if you have to go the whole suit route necessarily, but if you kept Christian with him, you could have this like, I have the best talent in the world kind of manager with Christian. You know, he's elevating Jack Perry to say we ditched that Jungle Boy crap, we ditched the gimmicks, we ditched all that stuff because he's just dope as Jack Perry and kind of builds him. So the Marco Stunt thing, I don't think it's a huge loss for them.
No.
He was never believable in the ring for me off jump. I remember when they did the first, what was it, Double or Nothing? They had him in like the Battle Royale, or maybe it was the All In or the All Out that we watched. I can't remember. It was the first AEW pay-per-view we watched together, and I thought it was Double or Nothing, but they did I think it was the Casino Battle Royale, and Marco Stunt came out, and I had never heard of him.
Yeah.
And so when you were kind of giggling and our buddy Austin was giggling and you kind of knew who he was and stuff, I was like, they're not really going to book this guy, though, as like a believable wrestler, right? Like, for me, he's like the equivalent of Hornswoggle. Like, I just don't see this as believable.
Yeah.
And so I would say his run in the company was just that. There was nothing really believable about what he does.
Yeah. I feel like he brought entertainment value, and that was it. But I don't want to say that's it, because, I mean, I was more entertained by Jurassic Express as a group when Marco Stunt was part of it. I was more entertained when Marco would do spots to where, like, he would, like Lance Archer just tossing around like a piece of paper kind of thing whenever he would jump off the top and literally get his head super kicked off or whatever. Just stuff like that, doing spots. That's what entertained me. Like, that was his spot in AEW. And I don't know. I feel like they could have kept him around. Here's what I think hurt him. Whenever he wanted to go off and do his American Idol, America's Got Talent, whatever it was that he went off and did a tryout for, I think that's where he messed up. I think his spot, if he wanted to, from a monetary standpoint, from a long-standing career standpoint, I think the moneymaker, I could be wrong on this, but the moneymaker would have been staying with AEW. That's your spot, doing spots, and kind of being that comic relief. And I get the AEW wants to be more wrestling aspect, but the fact of the matter is, I think that's kind of what has been hurting them lately, is they're focusing on too much in-ring. They're putting too much eggs in one basket as it relates to relying too much on in-ring performance, when one out of every 5 or 6 matches on Dynamite alone are good. The rest of them are just kind of like, okay, whatever.
Should have been better, I guess is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, case in point, what was that? Was it O'Reilly and Jungle Boy?
That was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, perfect example. That could have been, should have been
a 5-star match.
And
and let's be real, had that been on NXT with Kyle O'Reilly, it would have been a 5-star match. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It wouldn't have been first on the card. It would have been a main event. Like, because those two are that kind of talent. They have that ability to do that. And the reality is these 4 people we're talking about right now alone, if you free up all their contracts, that's one big contract for somebody bigger, a bigger name. Mm-hmm. That's the reality of it. Yeah. So let's move it along. The third one, I'm trying to say Stu Grayson for last. So what was
Jack Evans?
Jack Evans. Let's talk about Jack Evans for a second. I will say last night I thought it was awkward that they still have Angelico, which if you say it how William Regal does, it's Angelico or Angelico. But I thought it was weird to have him still with like the Butcher and the Blade. Like, he doesn't fit anywhere. He is not a fit in any group. He is not a fit in any faction. He's not good on the mic. He's really, really talented in the ring. I've always been impressed with his high fly ability and some of the stuff that he does.
Yeah, guys, go watch Lucha Underground. Go watch Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Like, Jack Evans was one of those guys that, let's put it this way. If you would have told me at any given point, now I get he's had like personal stuff going on in Mexico, whatever deals with that. But if you would have told me, like, on paper, you have to release either Jack Evans or Angelico, or AEW is going to release one of them, who do you think it would be? I would have said it was going to be Angelico. Jack Evans is like, I don't want to say light years better in the ring than Angelico, but I've seen more body of work that impresses me with Jack Evans than Angelico.
Well, Jack Evans can work a mic too. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Angelico, he's got good in-ring ability, but that's about it. He doesn't fit anywhere. He doesn't have anything. Like, there's nothing else to him outside of, I have some good in-ring ability. Jack Evans, high flyer, can do a lot of cool stuff, good on the mic, has a good look. He would fit a lot of other stables. I could have seen Jack Evans in this Jericho Appreciation Society. I don't see why any of these other guys are any better than him as far as that goes. I could see him fitting in somebody's stable as kind of like one of the henchmen or, lower level.
You've got plenty of groups and stables and factions. You can fit him in somewhere other than this AF. I guess it's AFO now. I don't know.
I don't even know what that is.
Andrade Family Office. I don't know.
That ever since Matt Hardy's been out of it, it's like it doesn't even exist anymore, and it shouldn't have existed in the first place. But
agreed.
I don't have much to say on the Jack Evans thing. I don't know if he would ever have eclipsed out of the tag division or out of the lower level card of who they have here. I mean, the reality is that when you sign so many names that AEW has signed, maybe Jack Evans could have went over to ROH and been a part of building that up. And we could have saw him in the pure title picture and, some of those things. But outside of that, you just have way too many better names, better talents that are there that I don't know if Jack Evans would have ever been able to eclipse it. Not because the talent's not there, but he's not been on the same platforms as some of these other guys. When you have people like Tony Nese, Isaiah Swerve Scott, or Swerve Strickland, whatever you want to call him now, Samoa Joe's here, Keith Lee's here. You have all these names that are coming in. You're also building up names like Hook, and you're building up names like Darby Allin and MJF, and obviously Hangman Page is the champ. But you got all these, Sammy Guevara. You got all these other people you're building up. Jack Evans just doesn't hold a candle at this point. There's no way that he's ever going to outshine these other people that you have spotlighted for so long and have put so much attention to. So
a lot of that is. A lot of that is just booking, though. I mean, you could have, in my opinion, you could probably have just, from the beginning, if you would have said, Sammy Guevara is not going to be in Inner Circle, Jack Evans is going to be, he could just as very easily have Sammy Guevara's spot right now.
Yep. But now it's too late, I feel like. Now it's too late to try to, repackage him. And again, this is kind of my major complaint about the whole thing is the win-loss record thing really puts a lot of damage on people. Because in WWE, you can be Shinsuke Nakamura and be in a pointless IC title picture, You could be on a losing streak. You could be in a dumb tag team, all this stuff. And then the very next week, they could throw you into the title picture and find a way to make you an actual believable candidate at some point in time. They did that with Cesaro. They've done, WWE, I've always given them credit. They know how to shift on a dime, and they know how to make somebody believable, even if they haven't been booked believable in the past.
Yeah.
And so far in AEW, I've not seen that ability. I've not seen that ability to book people that even if they didn't get the big dub, even if they didn't get the win, even if they hadn't been booked consistently or constantly to be the guy, they don't know how to elevate that person when it's time. I didn't believe for a second Lance Archer was going to be Adam Page for the title when they brought him back in.
Right.
Like, there's just no believability in anything that they're doing right now. So,
and like, not to get off topic, but what happened last night? Was Adam Page a heel now? Like,
well, when you put him up against CM Punk, what do you expect to happen? I wouldn't never have done this. It just save CM Punk to be the face. If you really want him to be champion or go for the belt, save him to go up. They should have done CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, because that now you have a good heel dynamic and a good face dynamic going.
Or put the belt on Adam Cole. And then, so here's my thing. I'm probably jumping the gun given my prediction. I am, unfortunately, fairly confident that they're going to put the belt on CM Punk.
I don't know why you wouldn't at this point.
I mean,
if he loses, what do you do with him?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, to me, they didn't put the belt on Adam Cole because they want it on CM Punk.
Yep.
Like, Adam Cole would have just been a transitional champion, which they also don't want. I don't know. We're getting off topic, but I kind of hope we get a heel CM Punk out of this, just because having.
I don't know if they would be able to make him heel. I'm really not convinced that no matter how many promos he'll cut, no matter how many things he'll do, he's too much of the I'm the hero of this business right now.
But are we in the minority as far as just like, I'm here to build up other guys and blah, 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 this and that? And
we all knew that was garbage, though.
I didn't think that they were actually going to put the belt on him, though.
Come on. Chris Jericho was their first champion. And that's not a diss. Chris Jericho has probably been my favorite AEW champion to date at this point. I have felt like every champion after him has felt dry. Chris Jericho may not have put on the best matches as the champion, but he made that belt feel special. He made those title defenses feel big, feel special. Like there was build up. Chris Jericho was key in that. Jon Moxley didn't do that for me. Adam Page has definitely not done that for me. And Kenny Omega, outside of the Forbidden Door stuff and some of the things he did with TNA, I still feel like the AEW part of his run was dry. I never thought that we had like these marquee matches with him comparatively.
Which now we know, to be fair, we know why.
Right.
Just, I mean, wrestling with a plethora of injuries, and like he still
put on great matches. I mean,
he wasn't New Japan Kenny Omega, but still put on, I mean, I'm counting everything. I mean, he wrestled in AAA. I think he had at least by Meltzer standards, he had 2 5-star matches, even while injured. But no, all that to say, I do agree we've not gotten New Japan Kenny Omega. I don't know that we will, but we'll see. We're kind of getting off track. But
Sports Entertainer, I will answer that question during fan mail. The question about the believability of somebody being Roman.
Okay,
we'll talk about that later.
I'll turn the tables on you. I'll let you go first. Stu Grayson.
This one shocked me. Out of all the ones that shocked me, mainly because I remember texting you and saying him, but not Evil Uno, because they came in together as this tag team. They came in before the Dark Order stuff.
Yeah.
They were kind of really the build of the Dark Order to start with.
Well, I mean, these guys have been a tag team as well, even prior to AEW. I mean, in PWG, they were like Super Smash Brothers or something like that, like
right.
player 1, player 2, or whatever it was.
This one is intriguing to me, I guess, from the standpoint of Dark Order really hasn't been used correctly ever since Brody's passing, and I know that again, this is that shift on a dime type stuff. Not that that's not a sad thing. You don't take time to acknowledge and mourn, a loss that was so tragic. But now what do you do? And I kind of saw it on Colt Cabana's face when we interviewed him. Like, you know, the wording that he said was, I'm kind of stuck in this group now that they don't really know what to do with, because you see it. Like, what do you do with this? It was supposed to be this kind of cultish group, and now it's this kind of comedy act with all these talented wrestlers in it. And again, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, that's a tag team that I would have liked to have kept around because they could put on good matches. And if you were to actually break up the Dark Order, you don't even have to go on TV and say we're broken up. You literally could just start booking. They didn't really tell us that SCU was broken up. They just kind of went their own way.
Well, just what they did with the New Day. Like, they were still friends and whatnot.
But everyone kind of goes their separate way. Let John Silver go and be a singles wrestler because people would eat that up, and let him go for the TNT title.
Well, what sucks about that is that Alex Reynolds then would just be gone.
Business. That's how it goes. Yeah. But out of the two, I think Stu Grayson's better than Alex Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. Stu Grayson's... I would... If you put, in terms of in-ring wrestling talent, if you grouped everybody in the Dark Order and said, order these, order everybody from 1 to however many there are in terms of in-ring talent, I would have put Stu Grayson probably at minimum number 3, possibly higher, number 2 maybe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go through them all in my head. I mean, Colt Cabana is automatically going to be in the top 3 just because he's been around for so long. In-ring IQ is just
through the roof.
Yeah. Here, let's just. I mean, we got time.
I would say John Silver's up there.
Okay. So, gosh, I mean, they're all good in their own right. I mean, I would say, okay, you got Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, Preston Vance, Alan Angels, Colt Cabana, and Anna Jay also. But I'm leaving her out of this because we're just talking about the males right now. I would say
John Silver would be in my top 3 out of them.
Yeah, I think Silver, Cabana, and
I would put Stu
Grayson would be in my top 3
for sure.
And on any given night, I mean, I would probably put, if you made me create a top 3, and it would have to stick, I'd probably put Colt number 1. I'd probably put Stu Grayson number 2.
And so this right here, this is kind of my thought. Maybe they couldn't come to terms, couldn't find a deal that makes sense.
Which is kind of what the rumor has been.
You know, between the two. But it was just kind of sudden. I was like, out of all the names that I could have saw not wanting to stick around and that were kind of there from the jump, I was like, this was not one that was on my list.
Yeah.
So let's switch over to NXT. There was a few there that kind of shocked me, mainly because they were in current storylines.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 9 or 10 of them, but let's focus on like the 3 or 4 that...
I think there's probably a top 5 that would be interesting to talk about.
Okay.
Number 1, let's just get the big dog out of the way. Dexter Lumis. I thought this was an absolute shock. I don't know how... He would have had to had a gimmick or a character change to switch up to the main roster. I don't know if his gimmick would have fit the main roster, but I liked the Samuel Shaw stuff that he did in Impact, and I thought he had proven that he could kind of be that dark, stalker-ish kind of horror film character, though.
Yeah.
And you could have brought that up to the main roster. And he's the kind of character, very similar to like a Bray Wyatt. He doesn't have to be in the title picture to be entertaining. You can have him stalk prey after prey after prey over and over and over again, and you give guys who don't have a spot right now or a storyline right now something to do. You know, like for instance, you know, as soon as Rick Boogs got hurt, you could have had him stalking Shinsuke Nakamura and messing with Shinsuke Nakamura and all this stuff. So the talent level that was there in Samuel Shaw, though, and Dexter Lumis, I thought that was silly of them to let them go. I will note this, though. After all of these people that have just been released and let go, they have basically now have transitioned to NXT 2.0 into all young people, all their own developmental talent. There's not really anybody else there outside of Roderick Strong.
Oh, and he'll be gone probably.
Maybe I have a thought on that. And the only reason why I'm saying maybe is that I've noticed here recently they brought a couple people back on TV that have been very outspoken about wanting their releases, and now they're back on TV again. Right after these releases, we saw Malcolm Bivens was released. Here's Roderick Strong on NXT, hasn't been on TV in weeks. Now he's on NXT saying, I'm the leader of Diamond Mine, and I need the Creed brothers to step it up against the Viking Raiders, and I need you guys to show me. Ivy Nile. It's almost like they're kind of reigniting Roderick Strong now. They're going to make him the actual mouthpiece now.
To be fair, it looked like they were doing the same thing with Ali the week before.
Yeah.
And then
squash match
gets squashed in 3 minutes. I get that it was a 2-on-1 match, but and I'll say I've been very vocal. I don't agree with Meltzer all the time, but I agree with him on this. He gets beat down, squash match, 2-on-1, but he doesn't really get any sympathy or reaction from the crowd. It was just dead. It was like there was no,
because it's a no build story. He came out last week randomly. Didn't even have like a tease or anything to know that he was going to be there, and they're even trying to play off of his Twitter comments and stuff, and no one really put the 2 and 2 together, I feel like. And
well, I think people are putting 2 and 2 together. It's just, no disrespect to Ali, I feel like the vast majority just don't care, myself included.
Well, it's kind of a been there, done that storyline too.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of, again, I'm just not on board with Austin Theory yet. I don't see, either. I guess when you make a comparison so much as he's going to be our next John Cena or our next big name, I'm like, nah, I don't see that compared to all these other guys that you have. I think if there's a next big name, it's Braun Breaker. I don't know if I might have skipped Austin Theory at this point and just said we're going to go all the way down to NXT 2.0 and kind of go with some of these other guys that we're building up here. And so the Dexter Lumis one really shocked me. There was also Persia Parada or Persia Parada.
Yeah.
That one shocked me because they were doing the whole tag team with Dexter and Duke Hudson. And they actually had what I thought was a pretty good tag match as a tag team together on NXT 2.0 the week before Dexter was released. They also had the Indie Persia thing kind of going on. That was a women's tag team thing. They had Persia being very dominant in all of her matches that she was in. I thought that was strange. I thought that releasing her was strange. Out of all the women that you have on your roster on NXT 2.0, I'm like, for instance, and this is not a diss because maybe she'll progress, but like Lash Legend, I've not been impressed with at all. And you have her in a tag match with Nikita Lyons and Natalia and, all this stuff. And I'm just kind of like, I don't really care about this. Like, she's not very good. It is interesting to note, too, because now there's like this 90-day clause that if you don't improve in NXT, you're out, which is funny. Because in any other job, that's kind of the norm. You have a 90-day probation period. If you're not cutting it or whatever, you're out the door. But as soon as that was announced in wrestling, I saw a handful of people be like, "That's ridiculous! Like they're going to need more than 90 days." And I'm like, "Nah, like just about every job that you have about 90 days. Even if they don't mention it, you have about 90 days to kind of prove that you're going to be worth investing into or not." And so, but some of these names just shocked me. I know Malcolm Bivens basically had came out and said, I don't want to resign. So it just kind of makes sense to let him walk. But I'm like, man, that's kind of like your next, the possibility of being your next like Paul Heyman-esque type manager. I thought he was really good on the mic. He's easily paired with anybody.
I would have put him, if you group any, I'll just call it any mouthpiece, whether it's a manager, valet, what have you. I mean, I don't know what you'd classify. What's his face on AEW? Scorpio and why can't I think of his name?
Dan Lambert.
Dan Lambert. I don't know what you'd classify him as, but
a manager.
Anybody like that, I would have put Malcolm Bivens probably in the top 3 if you group any company any mouthpiece from any company that's out there. I mean, Paul Heyman's always going to be one, but Malcolm Bivens arguably would have been second or third. And so that, I mean, I get that he didn't want to resign. At the same time, I'm just like, WWE should have, ponied up a little bit as far as the zeros on the end of that check, so to speak.
Everybody has I hate to say, everybody has a price. Everybody has a deal that would have worked. I know he might have been vocal in saying, I don't really want to do this, but it's having a conversation and saying, okay, why don't you want to do this? And allowing him to have a voice and explaining it. But I would have brought him up to the main roster and used him for some of these people that don't have a good mouthpiece. I think Ricochet would extremely benefit from having a guy like Malcolm Bivens as his mouthpiece. And so I'm just kind of thinking like him having, a war of words with MVP, he would be just fine. Him having a war of words with Paul Heyman, he would be just fine. So that one kind of shocked me. Dakota Kai.
Oh man, yeah. That one came out of left field.
I mean, we've talked about her doing dark matches up on SmackDown. Raquel Rodriguez now had just gotten called up. I mean, there was some things there. But you have names like Aaliyah, and it's not a diss at Aaliyah. I don't think she's terrible. But you've called Aaliyah up to the main roster, and then you let Dakota Kai go. I'm kind of like, Dakota Kai is definitely up there in the talent level. She's good on the mic. She has a good look. Some of those some of these releases shocked me. I don't know how to kind of put into words like what they're thinking. I don't know what the conversations and the morale was like backstage with some of these people. Did I miss any bigger names that were released?
Covered Loomis, Persia. Oh, Harland.
That one, so they said he didn't improve in the ring.
Yeah.
Which the match that I did see of his was rough. But I almost kind of felt like it was also the gimmick too. I wouldn't have made him Joe Gacy's henchman. They should have brought Harland in, or whatever his name was going to be. They should have brought him in as this dominant thing. Honestly, I would have put him in Diamond Mine. I wouldn't have had that big trainer dude that they had for a minute in Diamond Mine. I would have had Harland be this big, muscular bodybuilder kind of guy to be like your North American title picture kind of guy. Roderick Strong's your main champion kind of guy. You have the Creed brothers as your tag teams, and you have Ivy Nile as your women's picture kind of person.
Yeah.
That is a dominant faction right there. You let Roderick Strong, or if Malcolm Bivens is still going to be your mouthpiece, you let him do all the talking for him, and you have him go in there and you have him wreck shop. I didn't feel like they did that right, and I feel like that hurt him. I would like to see Parker Bordeaux go to a developmental-esque type company to really hone his skills, whether that's TNA, NWA, ROH.
He'd be a good fit for Ring of Honor, I feel like.
Any of those, maybe go New Japan for a while and go, really scrap it up with those guys. Whatever you got to do, MLW, go find you a home and hone your skills and get, because the body's there, the looks there, the presence is there. Get you a little bit of mic skills, get a little bit of more craft underneath you, and you'll be good. But that was interesting to know, and I read a rumor that there's some main roster ones coming here soon too. So that's something to know. I don't want to take a whole lot of time on this. We've been going for a good minute. So,
well, I wanted to touch on something real quick too, and then we can talk about one or two other quick topics. But I pulled up a list as far as either current or recent NXT 2.0 talent as far as their ages. Again, we don't have to deep dive into this necessarily, but just kind of wanted to bring up some interesting stats. LA Knight just recently transitioned to
manager role on SmackDown Dark.
Well, yeah. He's 39 years old.
Yeah. I mean, he's up there.
Yeah. It's funny that it's like, okay, you're taking guys that even though they're getting up there in age, it is still a viable option for them to go to Raw or SmackDown. It's not like you're just releasing everybody from NXT 2.0 just because of their age.
Right.
Joe Gacy, how old do you think he is? Just guess.
He looks a little older than their typical ages that they've been picking. I would probably put him in his younger 30s.
He's 34.
Yeah, I would have said 32, 33.
Okay. This one got me. Santos Escobar.
He's older.
He's 37.
Yeah, I just knew that because he was at a decent age when he was in Lucha Underground. So
I probably would have subtracted 5 or 6 years off that. That would have been my guess.
He looks good, but yeah.
let's see. Mandy Rose. How old do you think she?
This one here, I know she's really more there for the developmental, and that's been clear. At Ember Moon, she actually, or Athena, she talked about this in an interview a few weeks ago. She was brought down. Ember was brought down to repackage herself so she could eventually go back to the main roster.
Yeah,
I think that's what they've done with Mandy here. They wanted to make her look dominant, so when they bring her back up, it's not a hard sell for her to be women's champion on Raw or SmackDown. So, but she's got to be in her mid-30s.
She's actually 31.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought the same thing. I thought she was going to be like 34, 35, something like that.
31, so not bad. She's a little eclipsed past their age.
And I meant to lead in with this one, but I mentioned that Santos Escobar is 37, LA Knight's 39. Just as a comparative stat, Dexter Lumis is also 37.
Yeah, and again, some of these guys, if you know their history, they've been around for a while, so they can't be like in the 20 range that
for sure.
NXT 2.0 has come out and said this is kind of what we're branding towards. I mean, Roderick Strong's 40.
Yeah.
So that some of those don't shock me. But now if you're looking at all those who have either transitioned up or are on the main roster, outside of Roderick Strong, Mandy Rose, Santo Escobar, they're all basically the new talents that they're trying to progress.
The only people that are above their mid-30s in NXT currently, Roderick Strong, Santos Escobar.
How old is Joaquin Phoenix? Because he was in Impact for a good while too, so he's got to be closer to 30.
Hang on. 35.
I'd say he's up there too.
I didn't even. This just clicked to you. Said Joaquin Phoenix, the actor.
Oh, Wild Phoenix.
Well, I know I typed in Wild, but it just clicked. But yeah, he's 35. So, I mean, I'd say I wouldn't be shocked at all if between. So there's 4 there: Joaquin Wild, Roderick Strong, Joe Gacy, and who am I leaving out?
Santos.
Of those 4. I wouldn't be surprised if all 4 of those are out of NXT 2.0, whether they're released, Raw,
by
SmackDown.
the end of the year.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say by the end of the summer.
I would say Santos probably gets the debut main roster. I think he's good enough. I think that they'll find a way to get him in the mid card. He'll probably get lost in the shuffle eventually, but I think he'll get a call up. I think they'll probably let Joaquin Wild go. I don't think they'll bring the whole stable up with Santos. I could be wrong on that, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
With Raul Mendoza either, I don't see it. So those 2 will probably either stay down and kind of fade into the background of NXT or get released. Roderick Strong's the wild card because I know he wants out. So I'm interested to see, is he going to get called up before he ever gets released, or will they just eventually let his contract run out and say sayonara?
Yeah. Tell you what, we can just transition. It's already spent 50 minutes on this practically. Who's your wrestler of the week? I've got a unique one. I'm pretty proud of myself for the one I've picked as well. It's not going to be who anyone thinks.
The 2 that stuck out to me that I was able to narrow down to, I'm going to say this is kind of a lame week of wrestling. I guess technically for us, if we really wanted to, we could go back 2 weeks because we didn't obviously get the chance to talk about anybody last week, but I'm just going to go with Rey Fenix. Last night, him and Dante Martin, I thought, put on probably the best match of the week thus far. Drew McIntyre and the Sami Zayn steel cage match was probably a good runner-up for me.
Okay.
But I'm going to go Rey Fenix. Dante Martin kind of gets an honorable mention in this too, because either one of them could have won that match last night. It was such a good match. It was believable, and it was probably the best match that they've done on a Dynamite in the past couple weeks, probably.
Of course, the Sports Entertainer would pick Chris Jericho's wrestler of the week.
What is the Wizard? That's the stupidest name.
It's just another nickname for Chris Jericho to come up with for merch purposes and whatever.
But stupid.
Okay. Like I said, I got a unique one. My wrestler of the week goes to Daniel Garcia, new PWG champion.
I saw that.
He ended Bandito's 860-plus day reign as PWG champion. Now, granted, a lot of that was during COVID. It's in California, so it's not like he had a ton of title defenses. He defended it 3 times. At least that's okay. That's according to Wikipedia. I've also read that he had 4 defenses, but either way. But nonetheless, that is quite an accomplishment for PWG to say, okay, well, we recognize your talent and your ability, and we're picking you to finally take the belt off Bandito and put it on you. I've seen highlights of the match. I've not seen the entire match, but from what the highlights I saw, it looked good. And usually PWG tends to put on pretty good matches, especially the thing with, I feel like AEW has tried to catch lightning in a bottle with PWG in terms of trying to replicate their match quality with guys that are lesser known, and it's just not happening. For whatever reason, it's just PWG, they have that smaller crowd that they just eat up everything, from the amazing spots to even when they botch a move, they give them crap about it. And it's not necessarily the match that's good or bad. It's just the crowd helps make the matches feel good, make them feel big. So AEW is really failing if that's what they're trying to do to replicate PWG's magic, so to speak. So anyway, Daniel Garcia, my wrestler of the week.
I like it.
So, I haven't played this one in a while.
What a miscarriage of justice!
All right. And by the way, guys, you're welcome to continue to ask questions for our fan mail segment later on in the show. But this is our Miscarriage of Justice segment. We haven't done this in a while, so this is where Cole and I discuss some of our beefs, so to speak, within the wrestling industry, past and present, or miscarriages of justice, if you will. So why don't you go first?
We're obviously going to talk about this a little bit later in the show, but I'm going to be real. This whole WrestleMania Backlash build-up, I feel like, has been a miscarriage of justice. From the build-up to, we thought we were going to get Roman versus Shinsuke, and that just disappeared. No explanation. To
with Shinsuke not even being anywhere to be seen as far as the card goes, by the way.
1 minute you have him come out, get hugged and beat up by Roman, and then he's not been on TV since. So that to me, the whole build-up for the unification of the tag titles, and then to turn it into a 6-man tag, match or whatever. The Happy Corbin Madcap Moss stuff to me is stale. It has nothing to it. Like there's really maybe 1 or 2 matches that, like, I felt like the Ronda Rousey Charlotte I Quit match should have been at Mania. I felt like it should have been an I Quit match off Jump and a one-off match and it be done.
That's fair.
So I'm not really as excited about it. There's really not a match on it. And this is probably the first WWE pay-per-view in probably a while that there's not really one match on the card that's like, yeah, I want to see that.
Well, and here's the thing, too. They haven't really needed to build anything because they're literally doing the same matches as WrestleMania.
To an extent. There's a few different ones, but...
Well, okay, you got Flair and Rousey. I get that it's a different stipulation.
Right.
But you still got the same match. Cody and Seth. You've got AJ and Edge. You've got Lashley and Omos. So 4 of the 6 matches that are currently advertised literally just happened.
Yep.
And Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, you could argue that you haven't really had to build anything there because it's built on itself within the last 2 months. So no work to be done there. And then I'm saying all this because I agree with you. The 6-man tag match, it's like the one storyline or match you would want to build towards or need to build towards. You didn't even do it right.
To be real with you, I wouldn't have had Roman on this card at all. Because we kind of know it's a safer pay-per-view. Let Randy Orton Riddle versus the Usos main event this card. You know what I mean? Let the tag belts be the main event for once. I know Vince doesn't have a whole lot of weight on them, but let that be the main event. Let Roman kind of interfere in the match. And then if you want Drew to be the next challenger for Roman, let him come out and help in the match in RK Bro's favor. I think when they do decide to actually unify the tag titles, if they do, the Usos will be the ones to do it. And then they'll tease the Randy Orton Riddle breakup and all that stuff. But I don't know. This to me seemed like it was a waste of time, honestly. But that's my whole thing is I have just felt very WrestleMania Backlash could have been so much better than how they've booked it thus far.
Yeah. So I kind of just gave you one of mine. It was a good piggyback off yours, just as far as like the 4 matches that I mentioned are literally practically replications from the last pay-per-view. So I'll give you another one. I think it is a miscarriage of justice that Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti won those mixed tag team championships in AAA. Sammy's injured. Like, he didn't even really wrestle in any of the match, but AAA was so adamant about them them winning the championships that, from my understanding, they even had someone else wrestle most of the match with Ty Conti. They had someone else, but then Sammy came out and took the spot or whatever. I don't know all the ins and outs, but it's like he's injured, but yet you still bring him to Mexico. You still put the belts on him, and it's like what's the point? I mean, I get that they're just trying to cash in on the heat that they're getting now, and it's like there's a different type of heat in wrestling now that, for whatever reason, promoters are just drooling over. Like this, it's not the heel heat. It's like this go away heat, but it's I don't know. It's like I just go away heat in the sense that, okay, if you appear on my TV screen, I'm going to change the channel. I'm going to turn it off. That's not going to help your ratings. It makes zero sense to me. So,
yeah, I get it. Another one, and I'm going to kind of, for a while I feel like a little critical of this person, but after watching an interview and kind of seeing how it's played out on TV, I think a miscarriage of justice for AEW is the usage of MJF.
Okay.
I have in the past felt like he wasn't ready to be a champion. I felt like he wasn't ready to be the guy. But let's look at this for a second. He really is one of their biggest draws. He is going to be in 2024 probably the hottest free agent in the past decade for between AEW and WWE.
He's gonna get paid.
And he is yet to be TNT champion. He is yet to be world champion. He is yet to be tag champion. In fact, he has not won anything but a stupid diamond ring 3 years in a row that means nothing. Yet is one of your top people, and you're saying he's actually a pillar of what you're trying to build upon. Yet Darby Allin has been TNT champion. Sammy Guevara has been TNT champion
3 times.
Adam Hangman Page has been world champion and tag champion. I'm just saying. He's the only person out of your 4 pillars who hasn't won a title. He's the only person out of your 4 pillars that I feel like is probably the biggest name out of the 4. Maybe a tie between him and Page just on how the way Page has been booked. But out of the 4, I think MJF's the front runner. I don't think that if Adam Hangman Page and MJF are both to say, I'm willing to talk in 2024 about being a free agent and going to different places, I think MJF would have more offers and bigger offers on the table than Adam Hangman Page.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And so I think it's a big miscarriage of justice on how they've utilized him. He has broken up factions. He has done all these other stories except get the big one. And after watching his interview, which was about a month ago or so, he had mentioned, he's going to go where the money is.
Yep.
He goes, I didn't get in this business to care about it or to all this other stuff. He goes, I love the business, but I'm trying to get paid. I'm trying to make money. He goes, and whoever dishes out the most money, that's where I'm going. But if you want this guy to AEW, if you want this guy to stay, guess what pays more money? Being a champion, having the championship pay-per-view matches.
Yeah.
Pay this man. Get this man the title, whether it's the world title, whether it's the TNT title. I don't care at this point.
Ultimately, we've said this already, I see him winding up in WWE. I just see Vince offering him more money. I see him
and a better career.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I just see him ultimately right now and possibly forever, no pun intended. I know that's WWE shtick, but WWE may always be the go-to place if you're a professional wrestler. It's been around the longest amount of time. It's got the most prestige. It's got, it's got WrestleMania. Like that is the dream. That is the aspiration for any professional wrestler, is to compete in WWE, to compete on WrestleMania. And I see him winding up there, and I see him really probably not having to alter his character much, just because by the time he winds up there, WWE is going to be doing the same thing that AEW does in terms of, the profanity and this and that. I mean, I'm going to jump the gun a little bit, but I feel like NXT 2.0, what they're doing now in terms of the content, is going to eventually transition to Raw and SmackDown, and we're going to get another TV 14-esque programming by the time MJF winds up there. So he's not really going to have to alter his character much, if any, at all.
Right.
So good transition for that. I think the content of NXT 2.0 lately is a miscarriage of justice. I don't like this whole sex sells crap. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't like it during the Attitude Era. I'm in the minority on that. That's fine. This could also fit in our unpopular opinion segment. I don't like it now. I just think if I wanted to watch that garbage, like, if someone wants to watch that, flip on HBO, whatever. Like, I'm wanting to watch wrestling. I don't want to see, people in skimpy swim attire and, like, people in a tanning bed. It's like, I'm wanting to watch wrestling. I get that there's going to be an entertainment aspect of it, but what entertains me is, the comic relief type stuff. Like, there's plenty of options to do that stuff. And I get it. I'm in the minority on that. Most people do want to watch it, but I disagree. I think it's a miscarriage of justice that it appears that they're going back to this Attitude Era-esque mentality, mindset, whatever. And, I mean, it's just another reason why I don't actually watch much of NXT 2.0.
And it's disheartening to hear, Athena, during an interview she just did here recently, there was a quote that came out of the interview that she said, I had to sit through this meeting where we basically got told how to dress like Mandy Rose. And, that's what they wanted all of us women to do, is to kind of display a little bit more of their bodies and, cut off sleeves and, different things of their outfits and do attire adjustments and stuff so that they could be a little bit more sexualized, I guess. That's disheartening to hear, because we've come so far. Specifically, you say the whole sex sells things. That really means women sell, because we don't see a whole lot of the men having to do a lot of those storylines. Yeah. We don't see a whole lot of them having to push themselves. And I get that the wrestling fan base is more of a men's demographic. Probably, if you were to look at it from men to women, more men probably do watch it. But if you look at some of these Facebook groups, even like the amount of guys that drool over some of these women, and the comments that they make about them, it's so sad, because I feel like we've come so far with women's wrestling that it's actually good now. And I could say at a certain point in time it wasn't. If you were to just have those women go out there and wrestle, they did not have the skills and the ability. One, they never trained in the skills and the abilities, because they were so much focused on hiring women that could just show cleavage and
they brought out over NFL cheerleaders and swimsuit models just for that.
Right. You had your Litas and your Trish Stratus, some that could do some things, but for the most part, you didn't have all of this talent that you have now.
Yeah.
And now to hear that the shift in your developmental is kind of back to this model that worked for you 10, 12 years. We've come a long ways in the women's movement, in the Me Too movement, and all these different things that I feel like that's such a dangerous slope to be on.
Yeah.
Not that I care for some of those movements. I feel like they get too extreme for me. I agree with the root of those topics, but sometimes I feel like they start to go down past that it wasn't meant to go down. But this whole we need to sexualize really the women. I haven't heard anybody come out and say the men had a meeting and they had to wear tights that highlight their crotches or their butts or whatever. They all have to go shirtless now and show their pecs. You know what I mean? Like
just saying in stride in jest or whatever. Sports entertainers comment. All the men are already in skimpy Speedos. They're not in Speedos because Speedos are a little more revealing. But I get the comment, and you're not wrong, but they're not intentionally trying to sexualize.
Not everybody's a Val Venus. You know what I mean? Like that's my point, is that they're not having all these men characters have to sexualize themselves to get over with the fans or to get over on TV.
Yeah.
And I think Ember Moon coming out and saying that was very refreshing to hear that, one, there's a willingness to take a stand against it. But number two, that vocalizing that this is happening, that they're trying to kind of enforce this. If you want to be a wrestler here as a woman, you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. And it's kind of like, no, there's other places out here that allow me to be a women's wrestler and actually wrestle and not have to sexualize myself to do it. I mean, Ember Moon, Athena, has been in the business like 16, 17 years. You think she's really at this point in time in her career going to try to bend over backwards in such a way like this to try to get over? Nah, she's not doing that. So
she's been in the wrestling business for 15 years.
Yeah, I mean,
and by the way, for what it's worth, I mean, we would have loved to touch on this next week. Athena was supposed to be on. Again, we're gonna have to reschedule her due to a date conflict on her end. But it's not like she wasn't willing to do things if WWE asked. Like, if you guys go watch the interview she did with Chris Van Vliet, very good interview, very informative. She mentioned that they said that, we want you to go back to like an Ember Moon, the heel character, dye your hair, this and that. She said she would literally be spending hours,
8 hours to dye that hair herself.
Yeah, dyeing now. Granted, they're extensions, so it's not like she has to like dye her. But she's like doing all these different things, taking her own time, spending her own money. By the way,
over backwards because during COVID she couldn't get in touch with her normal people to do that stuff, so she's having to find all the ingredients herself and do. I mean, so she went above and beyond.
Yeah,
for
them only to say, well, we're actually not going to do that now. So it's not like she wasn't open and willing, but credit to her, she said that she does, she knows that she's on TV. She knows that she is on TV. I'm sorry, I'm saying that backwards. She's on TV knowing that kids are watching. And I mean, I love and totally respect that. I mean, she doesn't want to go that route, and, more power to her to explore other options outside of what unfortunately is probably going to be an over-sexualized WWE, NXT, whatever. So,
well, and that's the other thing too, right? Like, she not only did she do all the dyeing and all that stuff of her hair and did all that, she was compliant with going back down to NXT to repackage, to put over other talents, to do all that stuff. She even said that she stuck it out when she was upset and kind of frustrated when Shotzi and Tegan got called up as a tag team, and her and Shotzi were the tag team. They were the ones doing everything together.
And by the way, no disrespect to her, but where's Tegan Knox now?
Right.
Obviously
and
not
so
WWE.
There was all those strange things, and then even sticking it around when they were trying to tell her that they wanted her basically to be a coach now.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. So it's not like that there's not a willingness. Sports entertainer, I agree. Their outfits they already wear little enough as it is. Like, if you're going for skimpy, their outfits are already basically there. So what more can you do except for going back to like bra and panty matches and mud wrestling matches and the pillow fights and that stupid stuff. So
yeah. Did you have any more?
I think the only other thing that really comes to my mind right now is literally just, I'm always going to be stuck on this until it changes. There's a lot of talent in AEW that's a miscarriage of justice. There's so many names that we could just sit there, and I'm so frustrated with it. Like, Keith Lee and Swerve are trying to be a tag team, and their catchphrase is what was it? Swerve. He said something last night.
I don't know.
Swerve
Swerve's
in my glory. Swerve in our glory. And I was just like, what? And I'm like, these guys just should. They're both too talented. They're both too talented to be in a tag team that is overrun with other really great established tag teams. I felt this way about the Men of the Year. Ethan Page is a miscarriage of justice. I'm like, I don't understand the need to sign all these big names and then they all disappear. That Tony Nese, you got all these people that you brought in, and
and they're having 5-minute matches on Dark and Elevation. Like, you could literally go out and put Tony Nese and Scorpio Sky in a match and say, you guys get 20, 30 minutes, or Tony Nese, Jay Lethal, whatever. They'd put on a banger of a match and put it on your mid card of Dynamite or whatever, but just give these guys time and like you said, stop signing all these guys just because they're available. Like, there's no reason you can't bring in guys that might be free agents as a one-off just to kind of get the pop from the crowd or whatever, because let's face it, the pops that they're getting from the crowd for these guys that they've kept around or whatever, it's like, well, let's just take a look at it. Let's start with the most recent. Swerve Scott got the good pop at the pay-per-view, but what have you done with him since? Jay Lethal got your good pop from the crowd at the pay-per-view. What have you done with him since? I mean, there's one other one I'm trying to think of, and it's not coming to me right now.
Brian Cage, Ethan Page, Samoa Joe, even that to me they've not really.
I'm giving him time with Samoa Joe. I'm giving him a little bit of time, but at this point, I see it trending in not the right direction.
Keith Lee, there's just, and at this point, you have ROH at your disposal. Establish rosters, move some people around, and make them specific to these brands.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at AEW, and I see 3 rosters at this point. I could make 3 really good rosters that are balanced at this point.
Yeah.
And do separate companies with them at this point, and be just as over as they are now. So I think there's got to be and think about when Kenny Omega does return. Like, that shifts all these other people down a whole nother notch, because Kenny's not going to be in anything but title pictures.
Yeah.
Come on now. Like,
yeah. I got one more, and I think someone in the chat mentioned it. I think it's a miscarriage of justice that Deonna Purrazzo lost last night.
Oh, let's just talk about both Impact. You had W. Morrissey, who's like one of your most dominant guys on Impact, basically get squashed. It was like a 5-minute match with Wardlow. He only took 1 power bomb and got pinned. I thought, hey, at least if you're going to have him take a loss to Wardlow, he needs like 15 of them bad boys. Like, lay that guy out. 7 foot, all this, like, that was terrible. But then the Deonna Purrazzo, your AEW Dynamite kind of debut in a sense, or whatever.
On the main event also, and then she is absolutely, I don't care who you are, I will debate you up and down on this. Deonna Purrazzo is more well-known than Mercedes Martinez. And you go out, and if you really want to put a stamp on this Ring of Honor brand that you've just purchased, you stay with Deonna Purrazzo as your Ring of Honor champion. For now, if you want to bring her to AEW later on, good, great, fine, but this was the wrong move.
That match should not have happened on Dynamite. If you wanted Deonna Purrazzo to drop the belt to Mercedes Martinez because that's who you're going to run with, that's fine. Wait till the next ROH pay-per-view. Do it on ROH. Don't have her do it on Dynamite on her first time being there. To me, it weakened the value of Deonna Purrazzo. W. Morrissey was weakened. It does make the question, that's 2 Impact people on one show. Are we going to see Impact involved in this Forbidden Door thing? Because, like,
maybe
they kind of had ceased their relationship, and then now they're back doing some of this stuff.
I swear, though, if we get another invasion angle, I'm gonna puke.
So I am intrigued to see, like, if that's where this is leading. But Impact having 2 of their top stars taking losses on Dynamite was stupid on their part.
Agreed.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Guys, I want to remind you can check out the Going Broadway podcast live each and every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Whether it's just Cole and myself, whether we have guests on, it's bound to always be a good show, but you can check us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Our social media platforms are scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. So please give us a like on our Facebook page. Please follow us on Twitter. Please give us a follow on our Twitter and Twitch. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit those notifications buttons so you're alerted when we go live each and every week. Our Going Broadway podcast website is up and running as well, so you can check that out. Our shop is on that page as well. These are our shirts, our most recent shirts. There's a number of different SKUs on there, but these are our current Saturday Night's Main Event tribute shirts. They do come in the red, white, and blue Saturday Night's Main Event colors, as well as our GBP colors of black, green, and white. So you can check those out. They're $19.99 plus taxes and shipping for a t-shirt, $39.99 plus taxes and shipping for a hoodie. So those are available right now as we speak. We will be debuting a new shirt design next week. Super stoked, super excited about it. I showed it to Cole. And I keep saying this, but I feel like this might be my most favorite design yet, even though the simplicity of it is, it's just a simple design, but it's going to be another tribute shirt. I'm super excited about it. So we'll throw up the new graphics for that next week. So super excited about that. I don't have the graphics ready, but just I want to let you guys know of some upcoming dates and such. Cole and I will be at the Warrior Wrestling Show in Collinsville, just outside of St. Louis, on May the 20th. It's a Saturday, May the 28th or 29th. It's going to be 28th. So Saturday, May 28th. Saturday, May 28th, we will be at the Warrior Wrestling event. We will be doing a live stream at FanFest. We will be live from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time. So that'd be 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, Saturday night, May 28th. We'll have an official graphic up next week. It did play during our countdown before the show. So once our show ends, go replay our countdown. There's a graphic on that, but we'll get a standalone graphic for it and show it to you next week. We are the proud presenting sponsor for the 2 title matches on that event. Will Ospreay and Davey Richards for the Warrior Wrestling Men's Championship, as well as Athena, the new Warrior Women's Wrestling Champion, against Janae Kai. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. But we're super humbled and proud to be the presenting sponsors for those 2 title matches. Again, Warrior Wrestling, Saturday, May 28th. We'll be live.
There's so many other names on this card too, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm getting there. So again, we'll be going live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central during their Fan Fest. We do have a couple of people that will be sitting down with us for quick 10-minute cameo interviews. We'll share more about that next week. We're still trying to line up others as well during that 60 minutes that we'll be live with these talents in person. So I don't know if the graphic is updated or not. I'll just throw it up and see. If it's not, I'll change it. It is updated. Okay. So, Camille, we've got her penciled in, rescheduled. She was supposed to be on with us today, but she will be joining us as of now, Thursday, June 30th, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Current NWA Women's Champion. Hopefully, we'll be able to get that finalized soon. We do apologize that we had to reschedule that, but looking forward to that interview. Looking forward to getting Athena back on the calendar as well. Got a couple of other names as well that we're working on. Don't want to reveal them yet, but I did post them on our Patreon page. So if you want to become one of our patrons, we would sincerely appreciate it. We post different scoops and advanced announcements, so to speak. If you're curious about who those 2 names are that we're working on, that we do have commitments from, we're just trying to get dates and such lined out. Check out patreon.com/Going Broadway Podcast. We've got 4 different tiers for you to choose from. Anywhere from just $5 a month gets you a number of different scoops. And I try to post, just different articles that I write myself. I don't get to it as much as I'd like. But on average, maybe once a month, I'll post something on there, just some kind of like analytical analytical spiel about, something that's going on in wrestling at the moment, just opinions and maybe like more elaborative thoughts about something we cover on the podcast. So you can check that out again, patreon.com/Going Broadway podcast if you're interested. And get ahead of myself. So Jeremy asked names coming to Collinsville. So Will Ospreay, Davey Richards, Warrior Wrestling title match. Proud to be the presenting sponsor for that match. Athena versus Janae Kai, Warrior Women's Wrestling Championship match. We're the presenting sponsor for that match as well. There's also Deonna Purrazzo against Tootie Lynn. Jeff Cobb versus
Jonah.
Yeah, Jeff Cobb versus Jonah, formerly known as Bronson Reed. Who else is on that card? Warhorse is on it.
Yeah, there was so many.
I gotta pull up the graphic real quick. Let me see here. Warrior Wrestling 22. And by the way, guys, you can check out warriorwrestling.net for any further information. But let's see, we got Ospreay and Richards, Jeff Cobb and Jonah, Athena versus Kai, Peraza versus Lynn. Oh, Mike Bennett versus Casey Navarro. Got some guys from New Japan that are on the card. Camaro Jackson versus Mike Outlaw, two local guys that I wouldn't be surprised at all if you see them on a mainstream in a mainstream company within the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, both of those guys are just phenomenal. So, anything else?
Our watch party.
Oh, yeah. So we don't have a graphic for it yet either, but we're working on it. So we will be doing our next watch party for AEW/New Japan Forbidden Door. What's the date on that? Sunday.
June.
Is that
26th?
I wanted to say it was the 28th.
28th?
No, it is 26th. You're right. 26th. So Sunday, June 26th, we'll be we're not presenting anything. We're just doing a watch party or a watch along. But our next watch along will be Sunday, June 26th. AEW New Japan Forbidden Door. Cole and I will be with you. I wouldn't be surprised if we get our buddy Austin on board because he's a big New Japan guy. So you might get the three of us. But regardless, you'll get Cole and I for 3-4 hours, hanging out, snacks, beverages, fruit snacks. I'm sure will be present.
For sure.
So, are we doing a watch party for Mania Backlash? No, we're not.
And we're not doing one for Double or Nothing either.
Correct. Yeah, we only do watch parties like once a quarter. So our next one will be for Forbidden Door in June. All right.
Just when they think they got the answers, I change the questions.
Let's get right into fan mail. We've got no shortage of questions that were submitted for fan mail today. So let's just get right to it. David asked, how was Danhausen's return match? So at Glory Pro Wrestling, that was his first match back. Yep. He teamed with Dan the Dad as the Interstellar Mega Powers against Grindhouse. Is that the name of the tag team?
Yeah, Davey Vega.
I mean, it was an okay match. Danhausen looked good as far as,
He still looked kind of protected from the standpoint of they handcuffed him at the beginning of the match.
Yeah.
So they had handcuffed him to the ring post. So majority of the match, he was not in it. It was pretty much Dan the Dad carrying the match on their side. He eventually got in at the very end and kind of did the rally up, and that was it.
He was physical in the ring, though.
But he was able to do some stuff. Nothing looked bad.
No.
But he did not wrestle majority of the match still. It was more Dan the Dad that kind of carried the match on their end. So
I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to let you answer it first. I got to tackle a quick email. How do you think we'll get the Hookhausen tag? Well, I'll do two questions. I'll let you tackle both of them. Do you think we'll get the Hookhausen tag team? And what do you think of Kurt Angle saying Jericho is the greatest of all time?
Oh, I'm going to be real. I don't really care about a Hookhausen tag team. There's too many tag teams. And I don't want to say too many tag teams. There's already established tag teams in AEW. I think adding makeshift teams at this point just doesn't make sense to me. I think they should focus on the established teams that they have at this point in time And for me, all of what they've been doing has been more Rampage and Dark, more esque stuff with those two. I don't think there's really any major push for me to be like, I need to see these guys on a tag team together or whatever. I don't really care about it. I think if you're going to continue to push Hook, you need to let him be a singles guy and continue to do what you're doing with him. And Danhausen, to me, I do get the draw at this point because seeing him at not one but two Glory Pro shows now, he's got a nonstop line at his table. Always.
Yeah. It's crazy, too. It's like
people are paying $20 to have a selfie with him. Men, women, kids alike are all at his table. We had our table next to him, basically, at the Glory Pro show.
You gotta share what somebody said to him.
Oh, which one? Because man,
well, the one that was really super cringe.
Guys, let me just say this, and ladies, if you're listening, don't be weird.
Yeah,
Stop. Don't be weird. Stop being weird to these people. Like, they're just people. They're humans. All right, stop being weird. This guy. Oh my goodness, there were so many cringe moments that I had to partake in. This guy walked up to Danhausen, paid his money to get the picture, bought a shirt, all this stuff, and then sticks his hand out to shake Danhausen's hand and says, "Good luck on all of your future successes."
Well, wait, was it good luck or congratulations?
Congratulations, that's right. Congratulations on all of your future successes. And I'm like, what did you just say to him? Like, Alex can tell you,
oh, man.
I don't hide emotion very well. I'm a very blunt and not really scared to like just be myself in front of people.
Cole laughs at people.
I laugh. I'm sorry, y'all. If y'all get weird, I'm laughing. All right, like if it's cringe, I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it out loud. Like, it's
so good.
I don't care. All right. So there were so many moments where Alex is like, "Oh, quiet, hush." I was like, "No, Alex, it needs to be said." Stop being cringy at these shows, y'all. They're just people. What's funny is Danhausen doesn't even stay in character at his table. He's literally just wearing the face paint, got the gear on, and he's his normal self. Just treat him like a human. Treat these people like normal humans. It's all good. We went and got a picture with the GCW tag champs, and it was the most casual. They were so casual. They were so normal. Just be normal. They're weirded out when you're weird. So stop being weird. My message today: stop being weird. Okay?
And they only really get into character for the picture.
Right.
Like, if you're just talking to them, it's just a normal conversation. They're normal people. I mean, it's the old cliche. They put on pants one leg at a time, just like the rest of us do, unless, of course, you're sitting in a bed and want to put both legs in at the same time. That goes back to being weird.
Right.
So stop being weird.
As far as the Hookhausen stuff, I get he's a draw, but he's still more comedic Danhausen to me than he is wrestling.
Yeah.
As far as the Kurt Angle comment about Chris Jericho, I think when you start to talk about the best of all time or the greatest of all time, that is like any other sport, that is subject to opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll ever be able to statistically, especially in a genre or a setup like professional wrestling, where it is predetermined. It is all about kind of who you know and the booking and all that stuff. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to say statistically this is the greatest wrestler of all time. I think preference plays a role in what do you consider a great wrestler. I think preference plays a role of, are you considering overall package of promo to matches to wrestling to titles to all this stuff? Because, like, for instance, you could look at the NFL and some people would try to tell you that Dan Marino is one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks of all time, yet he's never won a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So all that's subject to change for me. Kurt Angle giving him that endorsement over, I don't know if I would have said Shawn Michaels was the greatest of all time. So that's kind of where I'm like, Kurt Angle is just saying out of his mouth, he believes that at one point in time he would have said Shawn Michaels was the greatest, and now he's saying it's Chris Jericho. I don't know. I cannot agree with that. I think Chris Jericho very easily top 10 debatably top 5, could be on anybody's Mount Rushmore, and I would never argue with it. He has recreated himself time and time again, and outside of the Wizard, I'm pretty much okay with everything that he's done. I am not a fan of this Jericho Appreciation Society. I'm not a fan of this Wizard gimmick. I'm just not a fan of what he's doing currently, but the ability to go from company to company and recreate yourself over and over and over again and get over says a lot. He has had great matches. Even in his late career here, he's had some decent matches. I wouldn't say any of them were 5-star by any means, but he's had some decent matches and really good storylines. Again, he's the only AEW champion I feel to this point that has made the title feel special, that has made it feel like it's actually a title worth going after and all that stuff. I don't know if I could say he's the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Jeremy said, side note, GCW is coming to Evansville. Yeah, GCW will be actually, did you see this? GCW.
I haven't seen it yet.
GCW is going to be in Evansville on July 3rd. They'll be in St. Louis July 1st.
Ooh.
So
we might go.
Maybe. We'll see.
We might not.
I'll say this about GCW. I mean, I know a lot of people are into the hardcore death match type stuff. It's not my thing, but
I don't really watch them, but I wouldn't mind going to see a pizza cutter to the face one time, you know.
Yeah. Let's see. Favorite wrestling biography?
Oh, you didn't give your answers, homie.
Hookhausen tag team. I don't think we'll see it. I'm indifferent on Angle saying Jericho's the greatest. I mean, like you said, it depends on the day, depends on whose opinion it is. I mean, everyone's going to have a different Mount Rushmore.
Right.
Favorite wrestling biography? Man, it's hard to top Undertaker's.
Taker's was really good. I mean, obviously they put a lot of effort into it, but Taker's was really good. I will say I want to get back into watching the Young Rock TV series.
I've not watched any of it yet.
By the way, Colt Cabana was Brooklyn Brawler, so coming up in the current season. So if you're a Colt Cabana fan, go check that out. He actually looks very similar to Brooklyn Brawler, actually.
When I saw the photo, I'm like, wow, that's.
I never would have put the two and two together, but I've heard a lot of good things about the Young Rock, and it's kind of a biography sitcom type thing there. So yeah, but I think Taker's has probably been the best put together one.
Yeah. What was David Tilley's question you said you were going to tackle?
So he was asking about, is there anyone that's believable to beat Roman Reigns for the title?
Okay.
I think that the thing that WWE has going for them is that they have really 2 matches every year that set somebody up to be a believable contender for any dominant champion. One of them is getting ready to come up, I believe, next month, and that's Money in the Bank. Mm-hmm. Money in the Bank, to me, is the safeguard for whoever needs to beat Roman Reigns. I wouldn't mind seeing AJ Styles win the Money in the Bank. I think before he retires, it would be nice to kind of continue to build his WWE accolades a little bit more. And so him being Money in the Bank winner, I thought he was going to be a Royal Rumble winner. So I think him being Money in the Bank winner would be good. He's a believable name. He's a good main eventer. So, and they've kind of moved him into the singles picture again, outside of the Too Sweet stuff that was happening with him and Finn this past Monday. So I think that might be the one-off tag match that they'll have with Edge and Priest just to kind of get the pop from it. But
which I've got some thoughts, predictions on what's going to happen on that match. So,
but other than that, I think the Money in the Bank winner is a viable option. It could, even though I'm not sold on it yet, it could be Austin Theory. You get the Money in the Bank briefcase to Austin Theory, you let him hold it almost all year long. Maybe whoever Roman faces at Mania next year, he comes in afterward and cashes in, and that's how they plan to get Theory over. I don't know. There are plenty of names though on the roster. Tommaso Ciampa has just been called up. You could have any one of these guys win the Money in the Bank briefcase and have Roman get beat, just like many other dominant champions have been beat. And that's after a brutal match, after he's been taken out by somebody, whatever the case may be, and then have that person come in and win the belt. You also have next year's Royal Rumble. You could really have someone built up strong going into the Rumble, win the Rumble, like they did Drew McIntyre. 2 years back to beat Brock Lesnar and easily have that person ready to go at that time, whether that's a call up for Braun Breaker by that point in time or somebody else. They have the ability to build somebody up quick enough to make it happen.
Yeah. Something I want to remember to discuss on next week's podcast, because I think it'll be a little lengthier discussion. I do want to discuss the Freddie Prinze Jr. stuff. I think that'll be a more lengthy conversation that we didn't get time to this morning, but I want to tackle that next week. Let's do one more question, and then we'll get to our predictions for Backlash. Do you guys have any predictions on who's going to be the Joker in the Owen Hart tournament?
I would be more apt to say that it's a returning person that they already have.
I was about to say, I know a lot of people are saying Cesaro. I don't think that that's how they would debut him.
I don't know if Cesaro's going to AEW in the first place.
Also true.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. I feel like if he would have, he might make a debut at Double or Nothing, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm seeing that. Kenny Omega has been rumored to be healthy soon. They had Don Callis come out a couple of months ago and kind of say something. So Kenny Omega would kind of be my stretch.
That'd be a heck of a first-round match. Kenny Omega against Samoa Joe. Holy cow.
I could see that's kind of my stretch of a pick. I feel like if they were going to bring him back, it would be like at Double or Nothing. Technically, you'd want a bigger pop, I feel like. But that's kind of my stretch. Miro, I've seen a lot of Miro suggestions. Yeah. Brian Cage could be one just from the standpoint of he was ROH.
Yeah.
Debuted, a couple weeks ago. I don't.
I could easily see it being the Satnam Singh guy, as if they're like trying to just troll the audience in terms of like everyone hated his debut and just everyone thinking it's going to be some hyped up guy and just bring him out just again to get the reaction from the crowd. That's like, oh, this sucks, this underwhelming kind of thing, because I feel like it's been AEW's calling card lately,
right?
But
I don't know if there's really anybody else that really sticks out to me. I mean, there's not many people missing as far as they've been off TV for so long and, yada, yada, yada.
I've got a bold pick, and I'm only saying it's bold because A, probably not going to be it, but I just want to be different with my pick. And B, I feel like whoever this is, Samoa Joe still needs to get the win. And I feel like if it's this person, that it would be a safe thing in terms of doesn't hurt the opponent, but it still provides enough of a surprise. I'm going Flip Gordon.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the other thing. With Forbidden Door coming up, you could have a lot of these one-off matches they don't need to win, kind of set up. So any of the New Japan guys technically could come over and have a match with Joe, and Joe still get the win. So
that's true. Yeah, I'm going Flip Gordon. Who you got? Just pick one.
I'll settle in on Miro. Just because he's been off TV for a minute.
It's a safe pick. All right, let's tackle Backlash. So as of now, there's only 6 matches announced. So we'll just take these one by one.
Do we think any matches are gonna be announced? I mean, it's this Sunday, right?
This Sunday.
So there was nothing else announced last night. They would only have SmackDown, I guess, to announce something. So maybe an IC title match.
I don't know at this point.
At last minute kind of thing. But outside of that, I don't know if there is another match you could announce.
Well, we'll just tackle the 6 that we know. So in no particular order, Lashley and Omos.
Let's see. Lashley got the win at Mania, right? I think if they're going to continue this storyline and you want Omos to get over, which I don't know why you do.
Agreed.
But for the sake of Lashley got the first win, no, I'm not going to do that. Lashley gets the win.
I'm going Lashley also.
I don't know. I just don't like Omos. I don't see the draw there. They might have him win and continue the storyline into Money in the Bank for round 3 of it. I don't know why. So that's the only reason I was leaning kind of Omos, but I'm gonna go Lashley.
Okay, Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss.
cares?
Tell us how you really feel.
The question here is this a one-off match and they're done with the storyline, or are they going to continue this for a while? I kind of feel like Madcap Moss is going to end up in the Money in the Bank match.
Okay.
Which would mean he would need to be done with this feud and would need the win. So I'm going to say Madcap Moss.
I'm going Madcap Moss as well because a loss doesn't really hurt Corbin, but I feel like if Madcap Moss takes the L here, it doesn't.
Everything you just did,
yeah,
is undone.
So I'm going Madcap as well. Okay, Cody and Seth.
This one's a little tough because Cody got the win at Mania, but I don't know how you could have Cody lose right now. I don't, without an interference, without cheating. Is there a chance that they go for round 3 on this too at Money in the Bank and keep these two away from the Money in the Bank ladder match and title pictures and stuff?
I think Cody's going to Money in the Bank and he gets the briefcase.
Could be. Great pick.
I'm gonna go Cody here. I think this will be it. I'm going Cody here.
I'm gonna say Seth Rollins. 1, to be different, but 2, because their third match against each other, I think will be the qualifier match for Money in the Bank.
Okay.
So I'll go Seth Rollins here, saying that their third match will be for the Money in the Bank, and that's when Cody will win 2 out of 3.
Okay. Let's do a 6-man tag. Drew and RK Bro against Roman and the Usos. Is it bad that I'm just like, who cares with this match? Like, you've literally got 5 of the 6 guys in this match are champions, and they're not defending any of the championships.
The only belt that's being defended on this card is the women's title.
So far, yeah.
I'm going to say because it's a 6-man and no titles are being defended, I'm going to go Drew and RK Bro.
I am also, only because when they do the unification, the Usos are going to win.
Yep.
And, I mean, it makes sense for Drew and RK Bro to get the win here just to try to make it you think that, oh, the faces have the momentum going into the title matches or whatever.
And it's a loss for Roman.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a Roman won again kind of thing. It's a kind of like a way to not have him. He doesn't have to take the pin. He doesn't have to take the loss. He was just a part of the match.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a singles match that he lost. So, I'm going to say Drew and RK Bro get the dub.
Let's just tackle the women's title match next. Charlotte and Ronda. I'm actually going to this is going to be my bold or my bravery pick. I'm going to say Ronda wins the belt here.
I don't know how you could have her lose twice, back-to-back pay-per-views, and expect her to always be a draw. With it being an I Quit match as well, like I said, I thought this is what should have been at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Ronda as well, actually. Although it doesn't shock me if they stick with Charlotte out of this, but I'm going to go Ronda just because there's more matches that we haven't seen with Ronda than there is Charlotte right now going forward.
Yeah. The more I think about it, though, maybe it's not a bravery pick because leaning on the opposite side, I would be shocked if it's Charlotte because that means, you know, whether by hook or crook, even if it's a dirty finish in some way, shape, or form, like if Ronda loses, she's gonna have to say I quit or make it look like she says I quit, and that would really kind of hurt her stock, especially since she took the loss at Mania already. So
and the only reason why I can see Ronda losing, though, is there any chance they're going to try to put her in the women's Money in the Bank for star power for that match? Or
maybe
would Charlotte be a better option for Money in the Bank and have Ronda be in a women's title match on Money in the Bank?
I don't know.
So, but I'm going to stick with Ronda.
All right. I saved this match for last because I got some thoughts on it. AJ against Edge. Damian Priest is banned from ringside.
Well, let's hear your thoughts.
Okay, so AJ won at Mania.
Okay.
I think Edge gets the win here, and even though Damian...
AJ didn't win at Mania.
Are you sure?
Edge won. Damian Priest came out to ringside during the match.
Why did I think that...
And Edge got the dub.
Why did I... I'm sure you're right. I don't know why.
AJ was looking like he was going to win, and then Damian Priest showed up, and he got distracted. And Edge
that's right. Okay. All right. Well, nonetheless, I still think Edge gets the win here again, even though Damian Priest is banned from ringside. If the rumors are true, I think this is where we get Ciampa's debut in this stable faction or whatever.
So my other thing about Ciampa is that he's been attacking Mustafa Ali the past 2 weeks on Raw. So unless that was just to get him on TV for a quick second so people know he's there already.
Well, see, my logic is that there is no logic with him because they've had him on house shows or whatever house shows are called now, live events or what have you. They've had him wrestle as the heel and the face in matches. They've had him wrestle as both in the last week and a half. And so, again, my logic is that they don't have any logic, and they're going to go this route because if Priest is banned from ringside, they're going to have somebody else come out to act on his behalf, if that makes sense. Because if someone's banned from ringside, to me that, the light bulb goes on, okay, well, he's banned from ringside, but so-and-so isn't banned from ringside, or, it's not like anybody else can't come out to ringside kind of thing or whatever. And I think they would try to play it off as, and maybe we wouldn't see that it's Ciampa. Maybe it would be like someone comes out in a mask or whatever, and they try to play it off as, well, it's just, it's Damian Priest in a mask, and, even though we couldn't tell it was him, it was really him, and maybe the storyline progresses, and we later find out it was Ciampa kind of thing. But I don't know.
So you're going Edge.
I'm going Edge also.
So I see what you're saying. I could actually see it being a same kind of match ending as Mania, but reversed. What if Finn Balor comes out as Priest did when it's looking like Edge is going to get the win and distracts Edge just enough for Styles to get the dub? So it's a 1-1. They could literally do match number 3 at Money in the Bank. Again, it keeps these two out of the Money in the Bank picture if you're wanting it to be other people and still having both of these guys on the card. But what if, we saw the Edge in this faction have the mind games of being able to flicker lights and all that good old stuff. What if after the match the lights drop and when the lights come back on, it's Priest and Ciampa together there to attack Finn and AJ as they're celebrating.
Okay.
And then it continues a feud where they're feuding against Edge and Judgment Day, basically, is the name of this faction, versus, whatever you're calling Finn and AJ at this point.
Yeah, could be.
So I'm going to say AJ gets the win.
Saw something funny on Twitter. I'll pass this along, but someone said that AJ and Finn's name should be Pellet Pals.
Okay.
It was a bad joke,
Right.
but it's still one of those bad jokes that's just like kind of funny. But anyway. That's going to about do it for us. I said it was going to be a shorter show. Segment-wise it was. Time-wise, we went about our normal 2 hours, just a hair shy of it. But Cole, any final thoughts?
Guys, as always, thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We do appreciate it. Don't forget to go get your Going Broadway podcast merch. It's comfortable. You need it. You want it. You gots to have it. So go get that. Don't forget about all of our events coming up. We have our AEW New Japan Forbidden Door watch party that we'll be doing. We'll be at Warrior Wrestling this month, and we'll have some names on for that. So
And we'll get those graphics up next week as well. But once we're off the air, you can go back and check it out on our countdown as far as specific dates, times, etc.
other than that, guys, it's always a blessing to be able to be on with you guys and to chat. We do apologize again for some of the guests that we have promoted to you guys. All of that is out of our control. So just know that anytime we announce somebody, anytime that we have them, we've done everything on our end to make sure that it's all solidified and in stone before we ever announce it. So bear with us as we try to reschedule these people and the people that we are already scheduling with to get those announced and out to you as soon as possible. Watch WrestleMania Backlash. That way next week we can chat it up with you. But until next time, I'll leave you with your favorite thing in the entire world.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us today. We'll see you next week, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Peace.
This podcast was a presentation of LightUpMedia.fm.